Can you hear me? Okay. In fact, we're going to start over real quick and just, okay, got thumbs up. They can hear me now. We're good. So, all right. They were having problems hearing me from the beginning. We're going to start over. I just got into it. So, here we go. What do you do when motivation stops working? When motivation stops working for you, what do you do? According to the University of Scranton, 92% of people set New Year's resolutions and then they don't reach them. They set New Year's goals but don't reach them. Now that's 8% of people that actually reach their goal. So why is that? And here are the reasons why. Some are infatuated with the idea of having the goal, but not infatuated with they're not in love with the process of reaching the goal. Or it's a like to have, but not something they can live with, so they can live without it. It's a must have, but not, it's not a must have, as Tony Robbins would say. It's not a must have. Your must haves are something that you really have to have. You can't do without, like breathing, like air. If all of a sudden you can't breathe, you will be scratching and fighting, finding a way to breathe and get some air. Why? Because that's a must have. Now, the last reason, it could be that they have no internal discipline or internal drive to achieve their goal. Now, Zig Ziglar said it all, and his quote is a good segue into the solution for what do you do when your motivation runs out. Zig Ziglar says, people often say that motivation does not last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So, recommending daily motivation. Daily motivation is something that Zig Ziglar recommends, and daily motivation also means you have to develop a source of willpower. Now, motivation is like getting a boost off or a jump start. If you are a dead battery and you get a jump start, you get a jump start from somebody that has more power. Like you go to church. Say you go to church and you hear this sermon that's got you all riled up and you're ready and good to go. And you leave church, you're on a high. You're ready to go. You're super motivated. You're pumped. You may go to a financial seminar. You leave the financial seminar. All of a sudden, you're pumped. You're ready to go. You're ready to put this financial plan in action. Now, that's what motivation does for you, but it doesn't last. When you wake up the next morning, you don't feel the same way. You may not feel the same way an hour after the motivation. So what do you do after that? Like I said, motivation is like a jump start. It jump starting your battery. You charge a weak battery, but at the same time, you will eventually have to replace the battery with more power. Motivation won't last for you because it cannot be your only source of strength to reach your goal. You will eventually have to develop willpower. Willpower. How do you develop willpower? Now, developing willpower is pretty simple, but it takes dedication. Developing willpower, the process is basically finishing what you start. When you say you're going to start something, you finish what you start. You can practice developing willpower with the things you do around your house. It doesn't have to be a big, heavy task or something you have to do, something that takes a lot of time and effort. Simple things like when you get out of the bed, make the bed. Finish the process of getting up. Allow making the bed to be part of the getting up process. It's simple. You finish the process. Finish what you start. When you wake up, not when you wake up, when you dirty a dish, you wash the dish. Simple as that. Finish what you start. You finish the process. The same thing when you take off clothes. You hang them up or you put them away. Don't just lay them down. Finish the process. Finish what you start. Now, when you regularly do this, you regularly finish what you start, you feel good. You feel empowered. And you feel important. There's a sense of significance that you feel when you finish what you start, especially when it comes to a big task. Now, completing these small tasks, task after task after task, you finish small ones, little one, little one, little one, and another little one. You are programming your mind. You're programming your mind and your body for a feeling Okay, that feeling is that feeling of significance, that feeling of importance, that feeling of being empowered. Now, that's developing the willingness to do, and that willingness to do is called willpower. Now, that feeling you get is from a chemical released in the brain. When you complete your task and you feel good, there's a chemical released in your brain. It's called dopamine. And there's another one, serotonin. Serotonin flows as well. Dopamine and serotonin are the chemicals released in your brain that's responsible for the feelings of feeling important, feeling empowered. Dopamine is the chemical released by your brain that motivates us toward completing our goals. Dopamine gives us a surge of reinforcing pleasure when we achieve them. Like I just said, it gives us that surge of reinforcing pleasure. So that's what we are working towards. It's your body is like, okay, it's a task. So what about the task? Let me complete that and give me that dopamine surge. It's a safe addiction from your mind. It's a safe addiction from your brain, rather. Now, serotonin flows when we feel significant and when we feel important. So when you complete a task and you get that good feeling, that's what your mind is going after. But you have to get your mind in the habit of feeling that. Get your mind and body in the habit of feeling those feelings. Get your mind in the habit of getting those feelings by doing small things. Like I said, make the bed, wash the dish, hang up the clothes, simple things like that. Finish what you start. So when it comes time for a big task, the bigger the task, the bigger the reward. The bigger the task, the bigger the feeling of significance, the bigger the feeling of importance. And you're developing willpower all along. This whole process, developing willpower, it's making you want to finish what you start. So back to the beginning about the people that's not finishing their New Year's resolutions. The stat said that 92% of people don't finish or achieve their New Year's resolutions. Okay, they haven't developed willpower. Don't let that be you. You already know now how to develop willpower. When your motivation stops, your willpower should kick in. So that's what you do when your motivation stops working. Your willpower kicks in and you keep going. You keep pushing. That's all that I have for today's episode. This is episode 205 of 365, and this is my 7 pillars of mental performance in 365 days. This is the end of the day, and check yourself. Check yourself. If you haven't, you've either made excuses or efforts, one of the two. Any performance you do for the day either ends in an excuse or an effort. Did you make more excuses than you made efforts, or more efforts than you made excuses today? Check it out, offset it, and correct it for tomorrow. That's all that I have. Thank you. Be well, stay blessed, and through love, be a blessing. God bless.